Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BEamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod for the Ibishu Covet called the BLITZ. We have a few different versions available. We have the normal one, the special edition, the custom, and the cup car. We're going to be starting off with this one, which is the 1.0 BLITZ, which is the homologation model with an intelligent super plus turbocharger setup. So this thing is a 1-liter engine with both a turbocharger and a supercharger, and it works in an interesting way. At lower RPMs, you have the supercharger, and then the higher RPMs, the turbocharger takes over and the supercharger cuts out. So let me demonstrate this to you. We're going to go to manual mode, and then I'm going to just do a little bit of driving. So the PSI readout right there is only for the supercharger. So you'll see right here, we're driving at a lower RPM, and you see the supercharger is doing its job. It's giving us a little bit of boost, helping the car accelerate. Now, what if we get past about 5,000 RPM? Well, the supercharger kicks off, and then the turbocharger kicks on, and there's no graph for that, but you can hear the turbocharger going now. And it's a pretty interesting setup because it gives you a fairly flat torque curve, but there's a small dip when you transition from one to the other. You don't really notice it when you're driving unless you're like going through a corner, then you might notice a little bit of like a wiggle, but otherwise it's pretty smooth. And it's just really interesting because I've never seen a car in this game that has a twin charged engine, which is what they usually call an engine that has both a turbocharger and a supercharger. And one interesting thing is if you're flooring it and then you shift, you notice it doesn't actually go into the supercharger range. It stays just in the turbocharger. So it's like tuned where if you're really wanting to go fast, it never goes down to the supercharger. Anyways, we're gonna go flying. We're too fast for this thing to land it, but we will wreck it a little bit. And there are actually some custom visual parts to go along with this as well. And some of them are just flying off. I love that part that just flew off in the distance. That was crazy. And what? How is the exhaust just holding it up like that? That's like 1,000 pounds on it. That makes no sense, but okay then. Never do that again, that's for sure. So go ahead and reset this thing and then take a look at the custom parts. And most of them are pretty subtle. So like over here, we have a different front bumper that's unique compared to all the other ones. And then we also have a custom BLITZ logo right here, which blocks some of the air intake, but it really doesn't matter because you look at this bumper right here, and that is a huge intake that more than makes up for it. And then over here we have a little hood bulge for the air intake, and I absolutely love asymmetrical hoods. I have no idea why, but they are just so cool. You'll see them on a lot of like key cars and stuff, but thinking of cars that actually came stateside, the only thing I can think of is the older Mitsubishi Eclipse, or actually all DSMs, I guess. And they had a little bulge right there because it was the only way to fit the engine in there because the cam gear stuck up, I believe. Not exactly sure if that's what part it was, but I love asymmetrical hoods. They're so cool, aren't they? Like it just looks so purpose-built. Anyways, over on the side, we have something that says Covet BLITZ, and then the side skirt is a custom piece as well. And then moving on to the back, it does say BLITZ on it. And then if we go on to the inside of the engine bay, you can actually see the twin charger setup. So we're going to go and just pop the hood off with a ton of force, and it's just spiraling out of control over there. And you really can't see much still because it's a pretty crowded engine bay. So let's see. Can we see anything if we also remove the bumper? Hey, stop rolling away. Where are you going? And what else could we possibly... Well, you know what? Since we're just destroying this car up. Fender, you're gone. Whoa, that wasn't the fender I grabbed, was it? Yes, it was. Get out of here. There we go. We're eventually going to be able to see the engine. Like this light in the way. Actually, that actually worked pretty good. We can see things now. So, looking closely at this, you can just barely... You know what? This isn't working. I got a better solution that doesn't involve destroying the car to pieces. We're just going to go to the part selector, and then if we highlight this, you could very clearly see the important parts. So I can't point at the same time because I have to hover over this. On the left, you can see the supercharger and then the pulley attached to it. And then on the right, you can see the turbocharger and the necessary attachment pieces to connect it to the engine. That's pretty cool. Anyways, we'll go ahead and see if this thing will drive at all after I've ruined it. I mean, we've pretty much ruined the front, but the back is fine. So I got to make sure I ruin the back on this next crash. We'll try to get it up to speed. Actually, it's working pretty good. No issues here, but we're going to go up into the dirt and see if we can hit the back. Yes, that's perfect, although the wheel fell off. And then we can see the damage is pretty significant on the front. And then the back isn't too bad except for the wheel, I think. Got to back out of here and take a good look at it. Yeah, it's actually pretty significant. All right, let's see if we can get this thing stuck on a rock. I see some rocks right here. Here we go. No, wait. Yes. Ha. Yep. We're stuck on a rock. So we got to reset this now. So I'll bring this thing back and then we'll take a look at the next Blitz I want to drive, which is the 1.0 Blitz Special Edition, which is the homologation model with an intelligent Super Plus turbocharger setup, just like the other one. But it has a special paint job and various other tweaks, most of which relate to the suspension and makes it feel a little bit more sporty. But engine-wise, it has the exact same setup as far as I can tell. So we'll do a little bit of driving with this thing. So again, wait, and then the turbo kicks in. It's so neat how it does it, and makes a pretty good amount of power for a 1-liter engine. It makes 125 horsepower from an older car. That is mighty impressive. And let's go ahead and try to wreck this thing in a fun way. We're going to put the slow-mo on, and then, oh, there go the hubcaps. And we pop into the air. Oh, we got a little bit of fire in the mix even. That makes it a little more dramatic. And now the rear hatch is popping open, but it's somehow staying attached. And I am having a fun time watching this, but it looks like we're going to try to go forward now. And, oh, we're all going to hit that tree, aren't we? Wait, can we fit in between those trees? Oh, I'm flying through the air. I can't really do any steering here. Maybe it'll fit? Nope, nope. We hit the right side. It was a close fit, but it's not going to happen. And it looks like we're kind of stuck right here. Yeah, I can't get moving. So let's go ahead and reset this. And hopefully you got a good look at the paint job as I was driving that last time. But if you didn't, here's another look at the Special Edition. You can see the suspension looks a little stiffer as we go through this road. If only there was a comparison point. Just trust me, it does feel different. I can notice the difference. And I do prefer this one over the other one. So now let's get this thing up to speed. And then we'll crash it into something interesting, hopefully. We're going to be going about 100 miles per hour. That's pretty good. Can we actually touch 100 here? Well, kind of. And 100. Okay, we are good and ready to crash. Oh, these are fun to crash into. These little poles right here. Yeah. Whoo. Wow. I didn't expect that much damage. That thing got shredded. I'm just looking at it. That is some massive damage. Oops, outside the water. Anyways, we'll pull this thing back to the road, and then we're going to take a look at the next version, which is the Ibishu Covet BLITZ custom version. There it is. And this one says it is the custom version with an unlocked supercharger. So what does that mean? That means the supercharger never disengages. It's always active. So you'll see here the PSI is just always there. 10 PSI, even at 6,000 RPM. And then you also have the turbocharger compounding on it. So it makes it feel a good amount faster than the other one. This one has like 170 horsepower from the engine compared to the 125 of the other one. And we're going 100 miles per hour already, and we're about to... Whoa! Somehow I broke the wheel axle on landing. That would have been beautiful if that didn't happen. But we really got that thing into the air a little bit, and I want to keep driving this a bit, so we'll just freshen it up real quickly and then keep on going. Now this one, you do feel the turbo kick in a lot because it's not as linear of power delivery. It's like you got the pretty linear feel of the supercharger throughout the whole range, and then the turbocharger goes boom at the higher RPMs and just kicks the car forward. You can really feel on this one when the turbocharger actually gets in the boost and starts pulling the car even faster than normal. So we're gonna get this thing up to 100 miles per hour real easy right there. We're going 110-ish. And here's an interesting place to crash probably. Kind of smushed up the car, beating it up in every direction. I think we can still drive that thing. Yeah, it is ruined, but I think it can still move. Let's see. All right, can we go at a decent speed to just completely ruin it? I want to get a main engine broken on this thing before we reset it, and we can get up to a little bit of speed. It's definitely limited in its capabilities compared to before, but I think it'll be enough. I'm going to go a quick corner right here and then look for a good tree to crash into. And, well, first we got to get up to speed, actually. This thing is taking a minute to get up to speed. All right, so we're about 30 miles per hour. That should be a good enough speed to try to hit a tree, and maybe even 50 it said. I don't trust that speedometer. Now main engine broken, and you can see a little piece of the engine sticking out right there. We'll go ahead and respawn this thing back to about here. And I really want to show you exactly when the turbo kicks in because you can feel it so much. So we're going to just go on this road right here, and then we're going to floor it. So nothing, 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 and then turbo. You saw right there just how fast it went through that higher RPM range once the turbo actually kicked in. This one, not as dramatic because we're in a higher gear, so it's harder for the car to accelerate. But again, the turbo kicks in right about the same RPM, and it makes it move. Although we got to slow a little bit for these corners here because I don't want to crash just yet. Although, let's try to do an interesting crash. How about that? I don't know how I'm going to have an interesting crash, but we'll see what happens. This is not going to work. This is not going to... Don't want to hit the tree. Oh. I didn't mean to crash there. But hey, it did the goal. That's an interesting crash. It popped just a little bit of damage to the rear, and then the front's fine. As far as I know, the front's fine. It's driving straight-ish, like 99% straight. This is like you could fix it with an alignment kind of straight. And now we're going to completely ruin it. Good, ooh, good little spin. And that tree grabbed me and I am stuck on it. It let us free though. We're going to go ahead and pull this thing back up to the road. And you know what? Actually, let's do something a little different. We're going to go to a racetrack to try out the racing version. So Hirochi Raceway it is. And on the racing version, it actually still uses the switchover setup. And the description on it says, the Blitz Cup car with full race equipment and a stage 2 engine setup. So I'll get that thing spawned up and then away we go. Now this one, you really feel the turbo kick in. It's like, whoa, there's the turbo. And once again, when you're driving this hard, it's almost never going to be in supercharger range. It's going to always be in the turbocharger range. As you're seeing right here, I'm going around a corner, decelerating a little bit, accelerating in it, doing all kinds of stuff. And PSI is pretty happily just sitting at 0 on the supercharger. And well, there was a little bit right there, just give it a little bit of kick when it was getting out of boost. You saw that just for a second to get it into boost. That's really what it's for on this one. It's just if you end up dropping below boost, the supercharger is there for you. And then the stock one, it feels like it's more about giving you a little bit more low end, because on that one, it's a street car. You will be coming to stops and going all the time and like stop and go traffic and stop signs and signals and all that. Oh my goodness, starting to lose control. Right here, that's a good time for the supercharger to kick in, do a little bit of help. Now, do I blame me losing control on the sudden boost? No. I wish I could, but I don't think it was. I think it was just me driving poorly. And I'm actually kind of curious what the car will do through here. This is a slower and tighter section than I've done so far with this thing. So I'm wondering if we're going to actually drop out of boost or not. And I'm just letting the automatic transmission do all the shift options right here. I'm not trying to keep it in boost myself. And I'm not really seeing any supercharger hits. We're just staying in the turbocharger area. And that's pretty good. Like, if you are hitting the supercharger, it's kind of bad because there is a little bit of a dip as the car transitions from the supercharger to the turbocharger. And it is enough where it might kind of disturb the car and cause you to lose control. It's not enough to like make you spin out on a straightaway like right here, but if you're going through a corner and you're flooring it and you just have that little drop when you don't expect it, it could cause issues. Oh, don't want to crash. How did I not crash right there? All right, let's get out of the sand, and this is taking forever, so let's reset this. And before we do the next thing I want to do, watch this. So supercharger and then turbo. You see how fast it goes. When it hits the turbocharger, it kicks in like boom. There is the turbo. Not as much in the higher gears just because you're going at a higher speed, so it's not as obvious, but it does kick in. Anyways, we're going to wreck this so I can go ahead and do the next thing I want to do, which is a bunch of drag races. I want to do a bunch of drag races, so there's a quick look at the damage for the car. And then to do the drag races, we're just going to keep it simple and go to grid map. And I want to see how the Blitz version is faster than the regular Ibishu Covet equivalent. So on the 1.0 Blitz, the equivalent would probably be the 1.5 ZXI. So we'll spawn this thing up, and then we're going to spawn up the ZXI. You'll notice the performance is pretty similar. 116 horsepower, 125 horsepower, but they delivered a little bit differently. So spawn this one up as well, and we're going to keep it nice and simple. We're not going to rev up the engines because I don't want it to be grip limited. We're just going to freeze physics and then accelerate on both and see which one wins. So here we go. And it looks like the ZXI is pulling away with it pretty easily. Oh, but here's the extra power coming in. And then off we go with the Blitz. So which is faster? It depends how long the racetrack is. If it's a really, really short race, the Blitz loses. If it's a long one, the Blitz wins. All right. So the next one we're going to do is a race between the customs. So we're going to do the Blitz custom right here. But reversed from last time. Kind of confusing. Sorry about that. And then on this one, we'll do the normal custom and the stats on these ones. So we'll take a look at this. So on the normal custom, which is called street tuned actually, it's 189 horsepower. This one only has 170. So I fully expect the Blitz one to lose here, but we'll make sure. The freeze physics, accelerate, and they are off. And that is a really close start, but the extra power is helping the street tune just pull away from the custom. So in this one, the Blitz always loses. And to be fair, all this one is just, you know, keeping the supercharger and turbocharger on at the same time. It's not like an upgraded engine like the other one. So reset that and then reset this. And then for the last race, we're going to do the racing versions against each other. So we'll get the Blitz Cup car here. And again, we're swapping the positions to make it as confusing as possible. The other one, I guess the best comparison here would be the track version, right? Yeah, track version sounds like a good comparison. So 189 horsepower and 162 horsepower. So again, I think the track one is going to be the winner, but we should see what happens. So we'll freeze physics, accelerate, and accelerate. And they are off. We're pulling a little bit ahead with the Blitz, but once again, the extra power is king. I was just curious which would be faster because, you know, this one sounds so fancy with its twin charge setup, but the engine is 50% smaller. Proving once again, there is no replacement for displacement unless you're replacing it with a rotary engine and you don't really care about torque at all. Anyways, until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya!